Good evening, everybody. Great to have you on the stream. We're going to make a few announcements, then we're going to go straight into our special collaboration with Atlanta Gamer Life. These are going to be our regular interviews, and I don't have that muted. There we go. Now, let's get this going right. So, first announcement. Yes, as you can tell by your screen, Hi-Res is hiring, and they do have a lot of internship positions available. Those are accepting applications through February 28th. A lot of great internships there. Check those out. Get your application in now and pass the word on to friends who you think would do a great job there. Second, I've been glad to work with the IGDA Foundation in the past with great leaders like Tom Biscaglia, Luke Dickens, and others. It's done some great work. They have over $250,000 to help fund independent developers and students in the Diverse Game Developers Fund. Look up Diverse Game Developers Fund. I'll share these links in chat in a bit. With the IGDA Foundation, they've got a good definition of diversity. A lot of you in the GGDA will qualify, and this can be a great opportunity, not just for the money, but for the publicity that come with it. For those of you who get our newsletters, you saw about the competition, the Earth Day competition for making something with Unreal. That was pretty cool with NASEF. NASEF is a great organization for esports. So check out the ad, make your Earth Day Unreal ad, and win $2,500. Also, please remember that the Indie Game Business Group is giving a discount to GGDA members. Contact us at info@ggda.org or check out the recent newsletters and get your discounts. They've got some great events, especially if you're a new dev. Great chances to meet with publishers and get your games into the hands of gamers. And speaking of gamers, I love what Kimmiko proposed with this, where Atlanta Gamer Life and GGDA will have interviews with people like Ron, who are doing really neat things in the game industry. So tonight we're going to have a good conversation about IndieCluster, playtesting, anything you all want to bring up in chat. If you're in the GGDA Discord, I'll get your questions there. We'll get them in YouTube. We'll get them from you in Twitch. And here they are, the wonderful Kimmiko and Ron Jones.
Woo woo! I don't know why I had to do that. Hey Ron, how are you today?
Hey, what's going on, Kimmiko? How's everybody doing?
Great. I'm excited. First off, for those who don't know about you, can you introduce yourself a little bit? Talk about like who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. Well, my name is Ron Jones. Ron Jones, the artist for short. That's a little joke, but so I am a self-proclaimed indie developer, an artist, entrepreneur, and I have been in the local game industry here in Atlanta 10 plus years. Yeah, and I've kind of just been trying to work my way up, meeting a lot of great people, building a network, trying to learn and release a couple projects as I learn. However, after I graduated at the Art Institute of Atlanta in 2012, based off the kind of the job market at the time and the growing game scene, eventually I started becoming more and more active with the GGDA and other local organizations, and then eventually formed the IndieCluster with Andrew's help. And then we just been able to grow that to something really helpful for a lot of people, especially here local, a lot of devs. So that's really our next milestone, if you will. Is just really kind of fleshing that out, seeing what it can be, being a support system for indies all over the world.
Okay, so let's I want to kind of talk more about you, just a little more, like some more personal, professional things. Like for instance, what got you started into enjoying video games in the first place? Like when did you start like realizing that, hey, this is I like video games, this is fun?
That's a tough one. That's, I mean, shoot. I guess we all have some of our favorite games, favorite experiences from when we were younger. Um, Fortunately, I was able to. I had a big nerd as a father, so or a big kid, we'll say, as a dad. He used to always buy like some of the latest games, the latest consoles for us for Christmas. And then when I got older, he would say like, yeah, I would buy all the games and buy the console and play it the night before to make sure it was okay for me and stuff like that.
He was
But,
quality testing. Is that how
right,
you learned your quality assurance?
exactly, exactly. It all comes full circle, right? But
Hmm.
so personally, a couple games that kind of stood out was, I guess, mainly on the Super NES and Sega Saturn, but probably my Game Boy that I got for my birthday when it first came out, honestly, in the '90s. That was really kind of like the time that I kind of internalized video games. So I
Mm.
kind of was able to take it with me wherever I went. Um, Self-proclaimed Pokemon master. You know, I was out here Pokemon Red every day, all day. Um, and then it just kind of became part of my life at that point, right? So I think I would probably say that's kind of when it started being a norm, and then got me thinking about how to make other games different, what compares this game to that game, and kind of developing my own stories in my head to see what I might eventually do in the game industry.
Yeah, and so you did say you went to the Art Institute. What was your major in there? What did you get the degree in?
Yeah, so I went to the Art Institute of Atlanta in 2007. I studied video game art and design, and Andrew Greenberg was actually one of my first video game teachers.
You poor
Oh.
Um,
guy.
what, and so I don't know what it was that made me stood out in his class, but he kind of always, I guess, would always kind of throw me or throw us, I would say, um, different advice or different things to follow, certain events to show up at here in Atlanta. And I remember specifically, if I'm not if I'm not mistaken, Andrew, I guess he could correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, the year I was there was the first year of Siege, and like so that means the first couple of weeks he was there just passing out flyers for Siege, and he was like, "If you want to be in the industry, show up," and that's what I did.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. Yep.
So
Not just to
wow.
everybody, but the good people.
right, right, right. So it would just became that was honestly, I guess, a great start to my introduction to the local community here, because it's really just been I've been able to kind of maximize that. I joke all the time about that. My I'm I'm I see myself as usually the least talented person in the room, but typically I try to show up and meet new people and gain an impact based on my network.
So, speaking of you being one of the first attendees of Siege, their first Siege, tell me, how was it? Like the very first one, and what was your experience as a student just going into Siege?
I will be honest, I remember very little.
Okay.
I remember being so confused, not knowing anybody, like and just volunteering. I'm pretty sure I probably sat at the reg desk, just kind of helping and wondering what I can do. Didn't know nobody. I'm just assuming everybody's like, you know, um, Will Wright or other like famous game people. I'm just like, oh yeah, how you doing? What's going on? Yeah, so I do remember getting some swag. I do remember helping out however I can, but and just being very confused, right? Flashback, a couple of years later, there was a number of pictures that got taken
Mm-hmm.
at that event. So me looking back, I'm like, hey, I know that guy now. Oh, that's one of my closest friends. Like, oh, he helped me get such and such. So it was weird, that contrast of not really knowing anything at that time, just kind of being there, right? To like, I was actually like really in the right room, because a lot of those
Mm.
people that was there and kind of around me ended up being meaningful relationships later on. So
That's awesome. And so I'm guessing that that's how you started really getting involved with the development community and GGDA and Siege. And when did you first really start thinking that, hey, you should make Indie Cluster?
um, so as I mentioned, there was the Atlanta game scene was still growing. However, it wasn't exactly, excuse me, it wasn't exactly what people advertised California to be, right? Or go move to, New York, or where the jobs are, quote. Plus, there was a lot of, not necessarily competition, but there was a lot of new graduates and stuff like that. So we were all kind of trying to get our feet wet in the industry. Um, so
What
kind of
year? What year was that around?
this
What
was
years?
2012, around 2012. So um, me knowing myself that I wanted to make my own games. Our curriculum was basically kind of geared towards someone getting a job in the industry, right? That's what I guess colleges are for, right? So I wasn't the only one in that boat, and because the industry was so volatile at that point, it wasn't necessarily a I guess a battle I wanted to fight to try to squeeze myself into a position that someone told me that might work for me or whatever, right? Because I was going this direction, right? So I had to do a lot of waiting, a lot of watching, and luckily around this time, this is really when the indie scene really kind of started to explode. This is when um, Indie Game Dev, the movie, yeah, Indie Game. Wow, it's been so long since I've seen it. Indie Game, the movie, that's the name of it, came out. That's when Steam, um, Steam got greatly
Started
popular,
Greenlight. Yeah, Greenlight started, I think.
right?
Right.
Um, Everybody's looking at the number of games that's on the App Store every day. There's really a lot of powerful, like, or heavy hitters, basically, kind of some of the foundational work in the last, I guess, 15 years of the industry, um, that started coming out around this time, and people are actually looking at indie games as a viable, I guess, a viable path to go down.
Yeah, I also recall around those years, what like smartphones were becoming more available, and they were more, like had more space to put more games on and
Right,
apps.
right.
So yeah,
And then
so
the social media games, Farmville was big at that time.
oh
So it was kind of, and it's crazy thinking back. It's like it's almost like a childhood memory, right? But it was only like 10 years ago. It's funny, but yeah, and even in the Mega Booth. Don't know if I mentioned that, but that the term indie became like a thing, became a novelty that was worth. Um, so just as fast as it came, it actually evolved just as fast, you know,
mm,
which was
makes
interesting about it.
sense.
The game industry is really the corner of tech and art. So with that tech side, it grew just as quickly as the technology industry kind of is evolving with the internet, with millions of new students and hobbyists and everybody wanted to release a game, whether it's small game jam games or actual commercial games to get published and everything like that. So basically, all of this is kind of coming together and evolving in real time. So I started looking around, and I wanted to be a part of that. Wanted to be a part of something that was new and something that would be able to, I guess, advance myself and others around me into the modern day or the current in this indie space that we was looking at. So I started looking around for opportunities, for people doing certain talks, for some of the larger studios paying attention, see if they, are able to kind of get feedback or resources and whatnot. And then once again, as I was kind of thinking about all of this, Andrew actually was looking for somebody to kind of be that guy, looking for somebody to kind of head up an indie space or introduce or be a liaison for indie games at Siege. So it kind of worked perfectly. I forget who called who first, but I remember Andrew asking me about the, what he needed or what did I want to kind of head that up. I was like, sure, this is kind of what I've been thinking about. And then I forget how long it took, but I drafted up like a logo, a name for it and everything, and kind of pitched it to him. Hey, what do you think about this? And he was like, I mean, if you're doing it, then cool. It is what
Wow.
it is.
True.
So doing that kind of event or doing that kind of negotiating and that process really, it was kind of new for me. I've done events in the past, but that was kind of new to me. But taking or borrowing the model from the Indie Mega Booth and being kind of involved in some of the other scenes or projects that I've seen in the industry, I thought it would be cool to have a traveling booth because at the time we did have a number of conferences kind of coming to Atlanta that I thought would be dope to recreate what we did at Siege. So that's kind of when we, played with the idea of continuing it. So I think that next year, or the next couple months, we were looking for different opportunities, whether it was a game jam or a podcast to start. And then at the same time, we were able to negotiate a space in MomoCon. Mainly, I believe it was because of Andrew, I guess, actually. So obviously, this has been our guy. Andrew's always has been a cornerstone in IndieCluster development. But because we wanted a space, or the GDA was offered a space in MomoCon, and I think Andrew needed somebody to kind of, fill that space and everything like that. So it was a perfect opportunity. That was kind of our first presence at MomoCon, and did that, got my feet wet a little bit, and then we was able to come back next year like, okay, this is what we do, So it was
So,
really a great process.
so when you're doing the process for, building out that space, and what it sounds like to me you're describing is you started thinking about creating a traveling showcase of indie developers. Is that basically what the indie cluster was or is?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it started out as that, almost like an opportunity for developers to be at a space, but it kind of evolved into this: what does indie developers need? Let's find a way to give it to them or give that to them.
That sounds interesting. So I noticed that you've been in a couple more spaces. Would you like to name a few other conventions Indie Cluster was in?
Of course, of course. So let me see. Let me try. I want to kind of do it in order to make sure I get the timeline right. So we were in MomoCon. Well, we've been in MomoCon ever since then as well. So Siege, MomoCon. I think the next event that we went to was Southern Fried Gaming Expo, and honestly, I think it was Southern Fried Game Room Expo at that time. And they've been great. MomoCon and Southern Fried has been really good to us, and we've been in their events ever since. A number of events that we've been to. We've been to the DeKalb Expo. That was like years later. So obviously I'm out of order. Okay, well, yeah, the
It's
DeKalb
okay.
Expo. We were able to get a little corner in there. So we were, and a beautiful thing that I wanted to experiment with the cluster is to be able to go to different events that games isn't necessarily the focus. So in that kind of, with that kind of mindset, everybody, quote unquote, likes games or is interested in games, especially in the business world these days. So being the only kind of games available, or the booth with games, we're obviously going to attract a lot of attention. Thus, free marketing basically for all of our games that are present. So it's kind of a
Point of interest. I like it.
it's kind of a unique way to help advertise some of our members. So another couple ones that we were in, Southern. Hold up, before I mess this one up, let me look this one up. But I do know we were in Terminus. I think we were in Terminus once, the Terminus event, before they actually kind of stopped their game faction. So that was a great experience. It's a really great video or film and at the time video game conference. What else? SG. No, we've been trying to get into Dragon Con. We've been trying to get into man, 2020 just messed me up. See,
So I remember you were in DreamHack for sure. You was in
Right.
DreamHack. You were in. Were you? I saw you at the Creative Expo, but I think you were just attending at that time, right? Remember, it was the one at Fernbank. That was pretty dope.
We were intending.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, and let's see. Hi, Ashley, Carol. She just joined in. So yeah.
Oh, Southeast Game Exchange.
Yeah. Okay. I remember. Yep.
That was a really fun. I think that was up in Greenville that we was able to do. And also BlurredCon. We went to BlurredCon, I think
2019, right? Yeah, 19. I think it was 19.
Yep. That was a lot of fun.
So, well, as you've been traveling and bringing your comrades around, can you just name a few of them? You don't have to name all of them because we never remember everything. But name a few developers that's been around and a part of IndieCluster with you.
Sure, and I would love to name all of them. I mean, they all really deserve all the credit, all the praise, and some of the and most of the veterans, man, they've been at it for years. Like they've been putting work into their projects, and it's been a blessing just to watch, to kind of be around them and call them my friends. It's incredibly inspiring. And any opportunity to lift them up and to give them a little free real estate or marketing promotion, I jump at the chance. So shout out to a couple games, I guess we can say. Some of the first ones that come to mind is Sinker, the Sinker franchise, Sinker 1, Sinker 2 by Robert Waller, and Death of Extension by Mike, Zap Blastem, and Polyroll, and these are like some of the once the IndieCluster kind of evolved, kind of known as this presence and everything like that, and these are some of the guys that were able to kind of to use that and be able to maximize off of that, come back every year, be fan favorites and whatnot. Unfortunately, not every game that we started out Not every alumni was able to come back every year, but we always love them, love talking about them. We've had Default Dan, we've had Home Improvisation, Prince Nap. Um, let's see, I'm purposefully leaving out my games.
Oh, come on. You gotta talk about yours too.
um, let's see. Let me see. Yeah, let me just go to our website.
Wonder J says that he loved Polyroll.
Polyroll was definitely
Polyroll? Okay.
a lot of fun.
So what's up with the Polyroll? Tell me a little bit of something about that game just while you're looking. Polyroll, what kind of actually I had another question in between. Finish, go ahead and answer that question.
Oh well, I don't want to say something that might be wrong or pitch it the wrong
Okay,
way.
no problem.
But
So
it's like if you're a fan of Mario, the original. I mean, not wow, the original Mario. You're a fan of Sonic, then you'll love Polyroll.
okay.
It's basically like a cute updated version of everything you loved about Sonic. So yeah, just go
Nice,
play it.
nice. All right, so here's another question I actually had about the. Oh my gosh, I had it in my head and it just like went around. As soon as you said Sonic, I started thinking about Sonic things. Sorry, it's distraction. But yeah, I was gonna ask something about the your games. So what games do you have you had, and what you have coming up as well?
Um, as far as my personal projects, yeah, I guess I could talk about that just a smidget,
Okay, just a smidgen.
So,
What you got in beta or
yeah,
alpha?
right. But I guess just the kind of some of the other games that came to mind before I moved to that, Neon the Ninja, um, Twin Cop, um, Elemental Rift, Voice Ball. All of these are like fan favorites. Like they always draw a crowd, and we always love just being around the devs as the people want up to play the games. But all right, check out the website for everybody else in the Discord. Um, so my games, uh, I've grown from calling my games to games to like just projects to betas or work in progresses, only because like I learned so much from everybody that I'm around, and I just don't like sit down and just like finish the idea or finish the game. I should, and I advise everybody to do that when you know. But I've kind of gotten used to if chances are if you've seen IndieCluster at an event, you've seen my game Siege Tower, which I created at a game jam, and I've just been kind of working on it here and there and whatnot. And it's just a really good concept, or well, it's an eye catching concept that kind of brings people up and lets people dance and stuff like that. So the idea is that, I always tell people, yeah, it's in beta, it'll drop in a couple months or something like that. Just look out for it. But in the back of my mind, I'm just like, okay, I should probably do this to it. I'm watching people, and I should do that to it, or I'll put it on this device. But then I get home and I just think about the next event or the next such and such cluster related. So yeah, my plan right now is to be at a point and just get somebody to help me kind of knock out some of these prototypes that I have, just because I think it'll be more fun to kind of work with somebody and to be the ability to be able to put money in somebody else's pocket to kind of create something dope. Plus, I have a lot of prototypes, and I want to, I can't spend like the 2 years I might need to work on something like my game White or something. So we'll see how that plan comes out.
It
But
sounds like you have opportunities for interns, possible paid ones too.
exactly, so exactly. So if they're listening, just know I'm always keeping a lookout for programmers and stuff like that that I could work with just to help me block out certain things. But
That's cool.
I had mentioned White. White was actually a fan favorite when I was showing it. It was a HIV awareness game that I did at I created at a CDC sponsored game jam,
Oh,
and that one was really like a I guess it was one of those projects that meant something, you know. It kind of affected people. People after finishing, people would like play, or people would play and just sit there and think, and we have a conversation. So I'm really proud of that. Like I polished it enough to create it like just a short 2-level demo, but I want to dive into that, you know, with purpose, and I want to do it right, because obviously it's a serious topic. So that's one that's again on the back burner, and when I have the time and the help, I want to dive into it and kind of, you know, I think that one would be really special. So some of the prototypes, like I would, if I was to get a dream job, I guess it would be a designer, because I really love playing with the tools that I guess are allotted to me. So being able to invoke certain emotions and create experiences for different players, different types of users, I think is really like a fascinating ability from a developer. So I love playing. Whenever used to do game jams all the time, I would always try to have like a unique, simple mechanic and whatnot, because obviously programming skills are limited. But I always try to challenge myself to do or to create something very simple, but see how I can make that really affect somebody. Whether it's, you know, putting a little bit more effort on the art, coming up with an interesting story, or some kind of mechanic that is almost memorable and just really different. So
that's interesting. I before we go to the next part that I was going to ask, which was been a good transition, I finally remembered the real question I was going to ask you.
uh,
With the indie developers that you've encountered and become, I guess, just comrades with, what was the main platforms or like engine that they wound up using? And well, like, were they mostly question, were they using Unity more or Unreal? And then also, did you find a lot of them making more of uh apps like for mobile, or were they more like PC style?
it's been interesting watching that and looking at the data. I'll probably say locally, um, I've seen a lot of developers and students use Unity. That's probably the engine I've seen the most. Unity 3D, and we have a really great Kartik and Mike is heading up the Unity Atlanta meetup every month, and they really do a great job with that group. So it's a really great culture around Unity. So if you're interested in it and everything like that, they have that environment that helps kind of catalyze you to growing exponentially, right? And Unity, the platform itself, is just really easy to get into. Documentation is all over the internet, from tutorials and links and everything like that, and the asset store. I've seen a good friend of mine, Maurice, uses Stencil for his game Split Apart and a couple others, which is really cool. It's basically like a visual scripting, like a game maker. I don't think I've seen too many game maker games. I don't think I've seen a Unreal game, at least in the platform that we have currently.
Mhm.
But it just goes to show you kind of where some of the people are thinking about and the caliber of games that are being made these days. Um, so yeah, I think that did I answer your question? I think I did.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was
Yeah,
reading the chat. It says that Ashley Carroll was like, yeah, that's what half of our production uses, Unity, as well as a house built engine. And
right.
she said, I'm guessing it's a she. Unity is really nice for artists to put together games on their own. And
Absolutely. That's how I started. Took a couple of programming classes in school, and I was proud enough to like actually understand programming and what talking
hmm.
to a computer means. But traditionally, I'm an artist. So taking those art skills and saying, "Okay, what if I just make this ball move every 5 seconds or whatever like that?" And then there's a timer, this and that. Like these really simple programming concepts, but then like if I learn how to program that, then I could just go in on the art, right? So Unity was really what I Googled Unity my last year in college, or I Googled how to make a game because I felt like I felt like the indie part of my career, I wasn't getting that enough in my school curriculum. Um, so I just Googled it on YouTube, and back in that time, the Tornado Twins had really great um, Unity tutorials.
Hmm.
And then I just kind of jumped on that and then went down this wormhole of Unity and then have been with them since like what I think 1.6 version, I think.
1.6. Yeah. So you've been there since. So you were there for the change when they went to straight C sharp, then, right? Because remember they changed up. But
Yeah.
yeah. So let's go back into the present day of IndieCluster now. What kind of upcoming plans you have for it?
Ooh, the fun stuff. So yeah, so I'm really proud of what the indie cluster has been able to kind of become, and everybody that's kind of had a hand in helping, whether it's volunteering or just taking advantage of it or sharing word of mouth. Um, we really want to just continue that moving forward. We're going to be focusing on what I had mentioned as far as what resources or opportunities that devs need and what can help them stand out from the crowd. And we have built an entire kind of platform and a campaign on that. So right now we are redeveloping our website to act as a hub for the conversation, for or for resources, for links, for anything new that the industry is going to kind of bring out, and we are going to move towards or start a membership base system
Hmm.
to where there will be different tiers of whether it's access to certain things on the website or access to actually directed consultations and services based off of what is needed from that studio or team. So really excited about that and kind of getting our feet wet and doing more than just providing a space at a conference. We really want to provide QA services, provide social media managing, consultation and influencer connections, and just do things that any developers really need on the ground floor, and no one necessarily is really thinking how to be creative when it comes to tackling the market with their game,
Mm-hmm.
or from the top down, from like say a publisher standpoint. And because we are developers, like we kind of have a history of knowing how to be creative and knowing what might set us out, set us apart from the crowd. So that's kind of what we've turned the platform into, just a base that can do a lot of that legwork for any developers.
That's amazing. And honestly, like when indie developers decide to go to you, what do you think is a what do you think is a good fit or for an indie developer or for indie cluster? You know, as
You mean
far
as far as the team or game itself?
what makes indie developer like say they want to use your service or whatnot, what would be a good fit, like how would they fit themselves in?
Yeah, so really we want to be able to tackle any game project or team that wants to call themselves indie, right? Um, so, but unfortunately, because this part of the industry is getting so and has become so vast, uh, it allowed us to, I guess, challenge that or uh, uh, combat that challenge with a tiered system and being able to offer as much as we can for as low of a price, right? Um, because we're indies. We don't have the backing of the AAA studios. We don't necessarily have the finances as far as most of us being hobbyists, this being a side gig. All of that kind of stuff comes into play. But these are projects that really need to see the light of day. Whether it's a passion project or what, we really want to. We don't want any. We don't want a lack of resources to allow a project to die.
Mm.
So we really want to kind of hammer that in and provide any and everything, whether it's a share or a tweet or a retweet or full hands-on production help or consultations. So any and every project, there is something that we can that you can benefit from being a part of our team or being a part of our memberships.
Absolutely. And I'm looking at the time. I just want to give enough time for to open the floor for anyone who wants to ask you questions because we have a couple people here.
Sure thing.
Um, welcome,
Hey,
Blue Scorpion. Welcome, Wonder J, of course. Deacom. Hey, Thug Geek, I meant. And Ashley, I hope you're still here. She was talking about she's an artist in one of the gambling um, companies,
right.
so development companies. So that was something that they were talking about in reference to the Unity. So yeah, anyone have any questions? Let us know. In between time, Andrew, did you have any more announcements that you wanted to make or repeat?
I think Wonder J had a good question with tell us everything there is to know about QA for Tripwire. What's it like working at Tripwire? Most importantly, what do? You just play games all day for a living. That's not working. Come on, man. All right, so what do you really do all day?
Um, well, first shout out to Tripwire. Not only is Tripwire one of our sponsors, along with the GGA for IndieCluster, they've just been a really great community, really supportive here in the Atlanta game industry, but really supportive to me personally. I know, have known a couple of the guys and employees that have worked there for years, like Alan Wilson and whatnot. And from anything from advice to suggestions and in getting in the game industry or how can we move our local industry forward or community forward. It's just been Chirai's just really been a great a great asset of all of us, of all of ours, I believe. And me personally, working here has been has really been just a blessing. The community that they've been able to cultivate has been supportive, has been a family almost, and has just been really, been really open. And I'm not even talking about this is all before COVID. Been really awesome, fun. They have Alan either gets donuts or bagels on our Friday morning meetings and stuff like that, which is kind of funny. We have like chili cook-offs and have like swag whenever we, release games and stuff like
Oh,
that.
Alan doesn't get scones for everyone? He doesn't bring in tea and scones? Crumpets?
I wish he did. That would be kind of, we should probably switch
All
it
right,
up.
we're going to bring in crumpets one day just for him.
But yeah, so the whole process, or just me being a part of Tripwire, it has definitely been a great thing for me personally. Um, and then, when we had to be quarantined and lockdown, this was months before we released Maneater and everything. So we were fortunate enough, being a game studio, to be able to work from home and still kind of hit our milestones and everything like that. But just seeing how the company handles its workers, how it's handled everything from business to just growing as individuals and just as a better studio. It's been really amazing to kind of watch from the inside out. And they've just been really, really supportive with everything that was going on with me personally last year with mental health and my father passing away and just a number of things. Just been really like flexible when it comes to a work environment. So definitely, I could talk all day about how great Tripwire is, but it's definitely a great company. I would say the QA. I would say the QA part of the game industry has been really interesting to just witness personally with my own story, but then just seeing how kind of different it is from studio to studio. Hearing what it's like at other studios, hearing the I guess the drama, the pain that people might go through in other places, seeing the um, the regulations or some of the things political politics wise, seeing how people are like kind of taking advantage of people and everything like that. It can be, I would say the just QA position can be really taxing and just not necessarily a good fit for any human, honestly. But I believe that it's definitely one of the most important positions in video games, period, or in any kind of um, any kind of creation or creative industry, because you always need somebody to kind of give feedback. Like we're so used to, if an artist or something that is made, somebody's going to have an opinion about that, and it's really helpful if that person knows how to give constructive feedback in a formatted way to help you make a better product, right? So that's really what the QA position is all about. And here in video games, it's gotten, I guess, dramatized, ooh, dramatized. We'll go with that one. On just a job that you play games all day. That's yes and no, but I would say it's half, right? So you play games half the day, and you write half the day, or you type half the day, because it's the documentation and really uh, challenging certain codes and techniques to just make a better product. So, and when I say playing games all day, it's playing the same game all day, or the same level all day, or hitting the same button all day. That's what you're really doing. So if you can live with that, if you can understand, if you can find some fun into kind of bettering a system, then I would definitely say that it's a job that you can stand and you can have some fun in. But make sure you're with a studio that's not going to take advantage of you.
All right. Great answer. A lot of people are definitely responding well to it. Wonder J says, "I like that same button," and then Ashley's like, "Yeah, QA is so much more involved than just gaming."
Yeah,
And Andrew's like walking into a wall over and over again.
right.
So
And
QA.
I think what helped me get the position is because I've made my own games in the past. Like I kind of understand giving feedback and getting feedback and like what might the programmer be and what might the intentions be, what I'm supposed to be looking for as far as an art in the art or environment or the character. So I think it kind of helps if you come into quote unquote playing games, if you come into it trying to figure out what's going on behind the scenes. And hey Mario. um, yeah, and another thing that I just kind of have uh, a quality is just being bad at games, like just being distracted and just like so that whole running into a wall thing, like I would just do that just because. So you can find you can find things to do to kind of pass the time and just mosey on off and to do your own thing, and you turns out you find a new way to break the game. So it might come out good for you.
Oh, good. Andrew, did we have any more questions for the board?
Nope, but I just want to make sure that everybody is tweeting out that Ron Jones, the artist, says the most important skill for QA is being bad at games.
I think
You heard it here
in
first.
the whole like last 3 minutes there were many memes being made as you were speaking. Hit
Hey,
things in a wall over and
you'll be
over.
surprised. I mean, you don't like you're not gonna get paid to be the best at the game. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
that's what uh,
You got to figure out what idiots will do with the game. I mean, not idiots, people actually buy the
What?
thing.
that's what esports is for you to be good at something. So that's what.
If you can't do esports, then you can do yeah, QA. Okay,
There you
got
go.
you.
There you go.
That was a great first interview, Kimmiko, and thank you, Ron, for being our test subject for this. Anybody got a last question out there in the crowd? And if not, then Ron, give us one other skill you think is actually give us a skill you think is most important for running IndieCluster.
Um, I would probably say adaptability is has been incredibly important. Obviously, the indie cluster itself is a business, um, but because what I mentioned as far as the indie game industry evolving so rapidly, there's really an energy that you have to put into learning something new every day, following what's trending, and kind of understanding why people are doing the things they do and where the heart is, where the passion is, and to kind of just be there, be involved in whatever you're doing. And I always try to tell people that if you make games, then you're a business making a product. So I mean, everybody's an entrepreneur in this sense. So it's really easy to forget about the paperwork, the legalities, the marketing, the budgets, all that kind of stuff that comes with quote unquote owning a business that makes a product. But it helps if you think in that sense to just make a really great game. One, and then two, creating a studio that can survive the ups and downs of this process because it really is hard to make a living being a indie game developer. So you just got to have a passion for it and a willingness to kind of evolve and to grow and to um, to just make something that people love.
That was a great final thought, Ron. Thanks to both Ron and Kimmiko for this great first interview in our series. If you have suggestions on folks we should interview, let us know. And with that, everyone have a great evening. Take care, all.
Thanks, guys. Take care.